Shalom Israel, I'm Officer Baraki Allah, Isupk Atlanta, Isupk. We started up 1969, 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York. What our mission is to bring the truth of the Bible and show who the 12 tribes are, which are the so-called blacks, American, Hispanics, and Native Americans, First Nations. Tonight is Brotherhood class. Name of the topic tonight is Brotherhood and Dedication is Vain Without the Truth. And the truth, you know, that's the law, statute, commandments, and that's in spirit and in law. So what we're going to start with is, you know, just talking about, you know, brotherhood. Brotherhood is very important. Dedication and what your work is very important. You know, a lot of people will dedicate. A lot of our people, so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Americans, dedicate a lot of our time to a lot of these religious groups, organizations, gangs, all type of things, dedicating their time and effort and their money and finances into and coming to nothing. And we're going to show that according to, you know, the Most High is bringing that out. Whatever you do, whatever you try, whatever Israel tries to do, it may work for a second, it's going to fall in the end. You know what I mean? And that's why we move how we move our Isupk. That's why we're so, you know, what people will say, you know, arrogant. I don't know if I use that word, but definitely you can't use that word. We're the only one with the truth. If you're not in here, you're not in the truth. What we do that for because we know the spirit of the law and also, you know, how the truth of the law altogether. A lot of our religions, our people are caught up in. The main two is Christianity and you know, Islam. You know, that's the wood and the stone. People, all type of sects, 66 sects of Christianity, and our people are all of them, even new ones that started up. You know what I mean? All type of witchcraft. Man, you know, they have a form of brotherhood. They have a form of dedication, but you know, what we here, Isupk here to do is show you how to not waste your time. You know what I mean? You build up something, you know, what's good to build up a house on sand. You know what I mean? What you want to do is build up a good foundation on rock. You know what I mean? As simple as it may be, that's what it's going to be. You know what I mean? You know, you may have something in your heart, in your mind, you feel you want to have a lot of zeal for, but if you don't, do it according to the Most High, it's going to fall. These are the things that we have to realize as being Israelites, the so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Americans. You know, we are the Lord's people, no doubt about that. You know what I mean? That's the royal thing. The people stole our identity. The Jewish people stole our identity or whatnot. You know what I mean? Because they already know those are the greatest people of the earth. We don't know who we are. But at the same time, you know, because of that reason, because we are the Lord's people, of course, we have a great responsibility in whatever we try to put our hands to, because we have a lot of great ideas, a lot of seem like to be great organizations, but they will all fall if it's not according to the word, not according to the Most High, and coming up through the right line. Pick me up at Romans 10, 2 through 3. You know what I mean? We got a lot of even with, you know, you got brotherhood, so-called brotherhood in a lot of things. You know, even with gangs, they have their gang laws and gang language. You know what I mean? You're gonna put yourself up under that just to fall, just to be dead in jail. You see that's leading our people to the slaughter. You know what I mean? You feel like you gotta join it and have some type of backing. You know, you talk about brothers in a lot of these gang areas, and they feel like they have no choice. You know what I mean? You know, they're a product of their environment. They have no choice but to join these gangs, you know what I mean? Or they'll be picked on or jumped on in the neighborhood, even when they go to prison a lot of times. If they don't choose a side, then, you know, it won't be a peaceful experience for them. But, you know, the Most High, when you know the law, statute, commandments, we already know, you know what I mean? The Most High doesn't deal with fear. He doesn't, you know, he's the supreme being. When he backs you, you know what I mean? do not need to put yourself up under anything that is not the truth. You know what I mean? You can walk alone, you can stand alone in your neighborhood. You can stand alone if you have to go to prison. You can stand alone by yourself without having to join yourself to something that's against him. Anything, it don't matter if it's gangs or not. That's what we're gonna go through, that dedication. Gangs or something that's squeaky clean or to y'all eyes, to the world eyes. It's all gonna fall in the end. You know what I mean? And you can die or perish faster than somebody that's in the actual gang, being a part of the wrong brotherhood, being part of the wrong dedication. You got that for me?
Come. The book of Romans, chapter 10, verse 2. For I bear them record that they have a zeal of the Most High.
They got a zeal of the Lord. You know what I mean? A lot of our people we see all the time, we bring out all the time, the bumper stickers. We got t-shirts made up. You know what I mean? We got Isupk true t-shirts made up, but we know there's plenty. We got bracelets, WWJD bracelets, what would Jesus do? People got Jesus bumper stickers, Jesus says. I drive around Atlanta, I see a lot of billboards, but I always see, Jesus saves, and sometimes we on the streets preaching, but every now and then you may see people on the streets. Preaching is very rare, but according to when you look at the so-called Black Hispanic Native Americans, you would think they love the characters of the characters of the Bible. You would think they love Christ, and they got a zeal of the Most High. But keep on reading.
But not according to knowledge.
But not according to what?
But not according to knowledge.
Now that's in Romans, man. It's not according to knowledge. You know what I mean? What is that knowledge? It's a falling away. We don't know who we are 400 years later. We were born into slavery. It's not according to knowledge. You know what I mean? They're doing according to a tradition. A tradition that was passed on from us that started 400 years ago with a slave master. You know what I mean? That stuff was beaten into our ancestors, was beaten to you. You know what I mean? Don't think you're going to wake up in 2000 or whatever you were born, 1980s or the 70s or whatever. It's been almost 400 years later. And don't think you're going to wake up and, you just so happy your family is in the right traditions. You got to test all things. And people don't even think to test that. You know what I mean? Or if they do, they just leave and go into some other madness, some other foolishness. You know what I mean? But the Most High, He's bringing the truth back out in the earth, putting the prophets back in the earth, but He already wrote the laws in our heart. A lot of black people, so-called Black, Hispanic, Native Americans, we already taboo about a lot of things that people, they do studies and wonder why we're like that. But knowledge, what we think is knowledge. It's not even knowledge, you know what I mean? That's why we the Isupk, Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge. Right. A lot of we in school, it takes you some time to learn the proper information, but once you learn it's so easy. Once you connect everything, it's so easy. It's practical knowledge. You know what I mean? To show you that all the prophets of Israel, they're all black and brown people. You know what I mean? Not only black and brown people, they're not Africans. There's a certain set aside family called the Israelites. That we are the Lord's people, that, things about Christ. Christ was not for everybody. The Bible is not for everybody. It's only for the 12 tribes of Israel. I mean, once we will show you, there's only 12 gates of heaven. There's only 12 gates of heaven. You know what I mean? There's no other room for a heathen to get in. It's not a spiritual Israelite. You know what I mean? You can't be a spiritual Asian, a spiritual Caucasian, a spiritual Malaysian. You can't be any of that. So it's definitely those are nationalities. You're definitely not gonna be a spiritual Israelite. We can do the truth in spirit and in law, but at the same time, it will never be anything spiritual. You would never see that with any other race, and you definitely won't see that with Israel. And so to bring out the truth in the Bible is so far their minds. You know what I mean? You have to be woken up. But once you show it, it's really practical knowledge. It's real simple. But our people do not hear. Our people do not hear at all. Keep on going.
Verse 3. For they being ignorant of the Most High's righteousness and going about to establish their own righteousness.
Establish that they being, first of all, you being ignorant of the Most High righteousness and going through it, establishing what?
About to establish their own righteousness.
Establishing their own righteousness. What we see the traditions of men that's passed down. But when those traditions, we got things we do here with the oils of frankincense and everything. We put certain frankincense on and do certain things that are customs that may not even be of the law, but they're customs of the Israelites. But what you need to focus on is the customs of the slave masters, the customs of another religion. Those things are against the Most High. Us, doing certain things, our customs that we find out about, there's nothing wrong with us coming back to our customs. But as long as we keep the law, that's the main thing. But the customs of the people are vain. You know what I mean? The custom of the so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Americans, they are vain. You know what I mean? They added their own righteousness. You know what I mean? What is that? When you read that, what do people think? You know what I mean? You thinking not my pastor, not my Jesus, because it is your Jesus, because it's not the Jesus of the Bible. It is your God, because it's not the God of Israel. It's not the God of the Bible. You know what I mean? I don't care how many scriptures you think you know, you're not linking them up right. You know what I mean? That's what we always tell people. People can read the Bible back and forth 20 times, one time per year, and still won't get the truth unless the prophet show you. That is that type of book the Most High inspired and wrote the book. So it's not going to be a simple thing you can just go through and get the whole book. And that's why the Most High was bringing out in Romans, is that our people, they got a zeal of the Most High. You know what I mean? They on fire for the Lord. They Jesus freaks and everything. They on fire. They on fire for the Most High. You know what I mean? Especially, our women, black, so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native American women. You know what I mean? These are some of the most religious women in the world. You know what I mean? You can't tell them that they don't know the Most High. You can't tell them that, they don't know Christ at all. You know what I mean? That's been proven to be the most, it's a fight with our people. But just like the Most High always say that Israel do not know. Israel don't know. An ox knows his master. A donkey, know his master or whatnot. But Israel do not know. We don't consider. Our people are lost. And it's the hardest job to bring our people back. But the thing is that it got to happen. It must happen. It must go forward. You know what I mean? Where our people, no matter how hard the job is, these 12 tribes must be waking up. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? No matter how many people cut off, these 12 tribes must be woken up. 144,000, that will happen. Everything else in the Bible happened. So things got to play out. But our people do not see that. You know what I mean? So when we was in Romans, it said, and going about to establish their own righteousness, and have not submitted themselves unto the righteousness of God. So people be reading things in the New Testament, the Old Testament, and just go right over their head. They just read it and yeah, that's right. But you're not really thinking of what they mean in verse 3. They established their own righteousness. You thinking that's everybody but you? You thinking everybody that's you but your family? Salaki, everything to all?
Yeah, it comes to all. Yeah, they gotta change the titles and all that.
Okay.
They gotta change all the titles and all that.
All right. Okay, yeah, finish the last bit of that verse.
Oh.
Have not.
Oh, slow.
No problem. It's Romans 10, 2 through 3. It's at 3.
I'll finish the last part. All right, come on. Verse 3. For they being ignorant of the Most High righteousness, and going about to establish their own righteousness, have not submitted themselves unto the righteous of the Most High.
Right, they submit their own righteousness, man. That's their law. You know what I mean? It's that law. Every Christian talk about the law is done away with. You know what I mean? They talk about, Christ is the new law. You can do anything you want to do. You know what I mean? So that's doctrine rise. But with that brotherhood, And with that dedication, you know what I mean, some of these people in these groups, a lot of times, they dedicate themselves fully. They dedicate their lives to these things. You know what I mean? You know, we put in a lot of work at ISUPK, but you know, they put in a lot of work also, and they have a form of brotherhood.